What's up everybody, this is VJ from TechImaginist. We're back with another video. Hope you guys are staying home and staying safe. So the S20 Ultra is quite a big phone. Bigger and taller than the regular S20 Plus and the iPhone 11 Pro Max. But do these big numbers really matter? Do we see Samsung regretting some of their past choices with the release of the Note 20 Ultra? Let's take a look. The S20 Ultra carried a big responsibility of representing the S lineup and also carried a $1,400 price tag. From the Note 20 Ultra's launch event, Samsung seems to have definitely regretted slapping the 108 megapixel telescopic camera on the S20 Ultra with marketing jargon like 100x space zoom, which implied you could spy on the heavens. Okay, at least maybe look at the moon. Not to mention the rattling sound that came from the camera when shaking the phone. So just a $1,400 Tic Tac. Okay, I'll give them a break. What went wrong with the S20 Ultra was mostly their overambitious marketing. Well, the Note 20 Ultra seems to want to settle for a modest 50x zoom and a new autofocus assist sensor because the S20 Ultra had some autofocus issues. The S20 Ultra featured a run-of-the-mill and sort of boring design. It looks like Samsung was saving all the grace for the phones like the Galaxy Z Flip and the Fold 2 and didn't want to take the risk with the S series. So, how do you make things interesting or different from last year and justify the bigger price tag? Yep, you add another camera. The huge camera array is sort of the only thing that keeps things looking a bit different at the back, which also sports a larger camera bump than the average. Well, who cares, right? The Note 20 Ultra also looks pretty much the same as last year, but the copper color is looking good and so does the camera array. There goes my money. I'm still glad Samsung decided to get rid of the curved edges of the screen, being the company that brought in curved screens in the first place. Curved edges on the back make holding the phone easier and you don't realize how big it is until you hold it side by side with other phones. One thing you can trust Samsung with is making AMOLED displays, and they always somehow make it look better than last year. This year around, they added the much awaited 120Hz screens, which makes scrolling a pleasure. Well, that's all what we do on phones these days. The 120Hz is a battery killer though, and even the 5000 mAh battery on the S20 Ultra does not suffice. We're gonna have to wait and see how it fares with the Note 20 Ultra. I think a 90Hz middle ground should have been there. Well, it is what it is. The screen is lovely nonetheless, and 6.9 inches, it is perfect for watching videos on the go. So where did they mess up with the S20 Ultra? The cameras? Was it that bad? Nope. It was a standard camera that you'd come to expect from Samsung. But the hype they created with the rather gimmicky 100x space zoom, finicky autofocus due to larger sensor size, I don't know, physics, and $1,400 price tag all brought it down. The Huawei P30 Pro in 2019 with 50x zoom did a much better job. So let's take a look at the cameras on the S20 Ultra, and we will also be comparing them to the modest numbers of the iPhone 11 Pro Max. From the 108 megapixel wide-angle main camera on the S20 Ultra, the images look sharp and colors look punchy, which is usual for Samsung. But there is a refinement in these images, probably from the 9:1 pixel binning, giving out clear 12 megapixel photos with great amount of detail. I guess the S20 Ultra holds pretty well against the iPhone 11 Pro Max. And different from Samsung's earlier approach of oversaturated and over-softened image processing. After a lot of comparisons, I cannot decide a clear winner for the wide-angle shot. And I feel it's down to personal preference at this point. So tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. The 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera on the S20 Ultra seems to do better than the one on the iPhone 11 Pro Max. The f2.2 aperture of the ultra-wide camera on the S20 Ultra produces better detail in low-light shots compared to the 2.4 aperture of the iPhone 11 Pro Max. The remaining ultra-wide shots also have more amount of detail and sharpness on the S20 Ultra compared to the iPhone 11 Pro Max. The higher contrast is definitely pleasing to the eyes. Again, let me know what you guys think. The 48 megapixel telephoto camera on the S20 Ultra produces some really good images. Here again, the iPhone has only 2x optical zoom while the S20 Ultra has up to 4x optical zoom. Comparing the images, I think it may be down to personal preference, but I like the color contrast on the S20 Ultra. The iPhone seems to be doing better with the night shots with more amount of detail. You can see more of Samsung's usual yellowish softening in low light, evident on the road here. The case with the telephoto shot is somewhat similar. The iPhone also seems to have better detail in night mode here. Now let's take a look at the video. The S20 Ultra shoots 4K at 60 frames per second. It somehow feels like the scene is a little over-processed and stabilization is not up to the mark. Comparing that with the iPhone, video is much more stable and compensates well for movement. The Samsung S20 series added the ability to shoot 8K video this year. So let's see how that looks. Stabilization is of course a no-go at this point, but there is a large amount of resolved detail and the sharpness of the video is great. Well, the power of 8K in the palm of your hand. What more could you ask for? What you would quickly notice about the S20 Ultra's video performance is that despite all the camera updates in recent times, the camera still struggles with the autofocus and keeps hunting to get the subject in focus, especially in low light. Yeah, physics. Both the Samsung S20 Ultra and Note 20 Ultra runs One UI 2, which is my favorite Android skin so far. We already know that Samsung's Exynos chips are a little behind the Snapdragons, especially slowing down when the heat goes up. In other words, thermal throttling. Of course, regular users won't notice this, and a few hours of PUBG or COD or other graphics-intensive games won't hurt. But the Exynos versions are still not the best bang for buck that Samsung offers at this price range, let alone using a 1.5-year-old chipset into their latest Note lineup. Apart from incremental updates, the S20 Ultra improves on a few things from last year's Note 10 Plus. For starters, the speakers on the S20 Ultra sound much better to the tinny sounding Note 10 Plus speakers. Oh, I hated those. Here's a quick sound test. The in-screen fingerprint sensor felt like an improvement for me over the S10 Plus and the Note 10 Plus. It unlocked the phone every single time without telling me, "I don't know your soul from Jesus. Just make sure you don't have fingers that are too dry." Oh well, that's what she said. Ultimately, the pricing. I guess you've complained enough on the $1,400 price tag on the S20 Ultra. But the Note 20 has managed to hit off controversy this year with a $1,000 price tag, sporting a plastic back and a 1080p 60Hz screen. If I'm not mistaken, that price is flagship territory. The Note 20 Ultra, however, gets all the love with the glass back, 50x zoom periscope camera, Quad HD Plus resolution, but you can't still use the 120Hz along with the Quad HD Plus resolution, so pretty much the same as the S20 Ultra. I don't know what Samsung is doing. Looking at all of this, the Samsung S20 Ultra tried really hard to prove that it's not just the Note series that should have all the fun. With all guns blazing and hit it with everything we've got approach that were only reserved for the Note series at one point of time, the Notes have had to work harder each year to differentiate itself from the S series. I'm calling it, folks. With all the advancements in the tech industry, competition is rising and Samsung may not be able to continue winning its race in neutral with the Note, as they have done in previous years. The new cameras on the Note 20 series are more than welcome, but the similar design from last year, the plastic back and the 60Hz screen on the $1,000 Note 20 and last year's Exynos 990 chipset are cutting it short of what Note stood to represent for Samsung. Folks, if you'd like to watch my full review of the Note 20 Ultra, consider subscribing to my channel. Please keep the comments flowing, that really keeps me going. I post behind the scenes content and live updates on Facebook and Instagram, so please follow me there. Stay home and stay safe. And as always, thank you so much for watching.